All right, guys, for you of you that don't know already, this summer I'm going to be traveling cross country with Nitsan and trying to get him ready to play on the Pro Tour in 2022. Now, this Monday's video is going to be some of the clips from our latest Zoom session with the members, the people that signed up for our road trip. And this is a taste of what you can look forward to. We're going to be putting out 10 videos, having 5 Zoom sessions like this. So if you guys want to join, please visit tpatennis.com. And I hope you enjoy the video. I think you're going to get a great insight to Nitsan as a player, what he needs to work on, and myself as a coach, and get to understand the dynamic that we have and how we're going to take him from where he's at, which is a great Division 1 college player, to being able to play on the Pro Tour. Yes, we're planning on playing he's planning on playing 2 tournaments.
Yeah, well, there weren't anyone last week when I checked, but they keep adding them now because things are opening up. So should be a lot of opportunities on the way now.
Nice.
Yeah,
some money tournaments.
Nice.
When me and Nitsan are putting out content, what is it that you guys are looking for?
Well, I mean, some of the promos, what I really like is the back and forth. What I like, especially like the last video, like Nitsan was saying, like, you know, I'm used to just looking at 45 degrees, basically, and hitting everything at that 45-degree angle. And now you're saying open that right shoulder all the way up. And it wasn't until he said that I fully got what you were doing.
Yeah.
So that's what, that part I think really helps.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do in these videos, I think, is there's going to be just natural conversation with me helping Nitsan, and we're just having this back and forth. But if something's not clear, I'm obviously going to do a bit of an introduction to the video to let people know that having this back and forth conversation is, I think that's pretty cool. You never really get to see it. You know, I wish we could see the pros training like that, you know,
it's just 2 guys trying to find the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually curious, like when you guys maybe film a match or something, what's going on through your head during different points? Because you seem like a rock on the court, but I'd be very curious on what's actually going on in your mind. I mean, you can't be a robot, right? Or are you?
A lot of people said. A lot of people would say that I am.
He may not be a robot, but he's definitely a machine. How about that?
Yeah.
But no, that's actually very interesting. I'm curious too. Like, if you film some moments from a match and then have the post-match interview, right? The post-match conversation that sometimes coaches and players have. Maybe the same day, maybe the day after, when things kind of settled down and you've had a chance to reflect on what actually happened. Like, that's actually really good. I second that motion.
And when we play practice matches, I can wear that microphone and try to speak what I'm feeling, what's happening, maybe what I'm trying to do during that point.
But if we play like a really serious practice set against someone who's really good, a practice match, we could be mic'd up and actually talk throughout the whole thing. So that'd be pretty cool.
I'd be curious about the in-between game adjustments that you make also. And I'm curious, Nitsan, do you have feelings?
I don't get the joke.
Well,
hey, I've never seen this guy lose his temper. I've never seen him get angry, quit on a point, throw his racket, nothing. I've only ever seen him just be like rock solid. So.
Okay, well, is there training involved in that?
It reminds me of Bjorn Borg, actually. The Iceman.
Except for many things.
Well, Nitsan, what does go through your head whenever you're playing a tennis match? Like, just a typical before point thought or after point?
When I'm not feeling comfortable, I just always go back to kind of pushing more and being really solid and hoping the other guy messes up, basically. Break them down, make them cramp.
I was going to say, when you do lose, why do you lose?
I lose just playing players with weapons, with bigger serve, bigger forehand that can get a lot of spin or can just do more stuff with the ball that me being solid and making a lot of shots is not enough. And
that's what I was going to ask, because I've heard a lot in the promos and such that you're working on the serve and forehand, but it sounds like the serve and forehand are super consistent. They're just not the weapons you want them to be. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just being, my strength is being solid and not missing. But when I do try, even in a match where I feel relaxed and I'm telling myself, all right, I'm gonna hit this harder, I literally don't do it the right way with my body. I get too tense with my muscles. I try to really engage everything, and I don't allow the racket to accelerate, and it just end up missing without really hitting it harder. So I just never try to do it because it's not worth it. So I think what the real goal with me and Tom this trip is to kind of train my body to move in a different way, so I just have better understanding of how to change rhythms, change racket speeds, hit ball different heights.
It would be logical to think that if you threw Nitsan into a situation where he's just playing against guys that were just better than him, that he would have to step up, right? He'd have to hit it harder. He'd have to hit his backhand up the line. He'd have to like pull the trigger on the forehand. But really, like even when he's losing, or even if he's playing like that next level up, he's just gonna like run faster, work harder, focus more, jump higher. Like he's not gonna like do that because that's not what he goes to. He just goes to his strength of just grinding. So I talked about like creating the overlap from developing skills and then executing it in match play situations. We kind of have to replicate how intense he is when he's playing, because it's all good like doing the stuff that we're putting out there with the kinetic chain and stuff, which is important. But then when the match starts and he's moving like a million miles an hour and he's just going so fast and all his muscles are like engaged just by working so hard, then trying to relax, it's kind of like this kind of, you got to do two separate things of being super intense, but also relaxed enough to like allow things to happen. So we got to try and train in a realistic way.
I was curious if once they do get his forehand or his serve to the looseness or the spot where he feels like he can pull the trigger more, if Tom would be moving his game from what I consider, it sounds like he's more of a counter puncher, to looking for more balls to hit winners on once he get.
Sorry, that's a good question. Yeah, he's really good at getting to the net. So I think if he starts hitting it better, like the most frustrating thing about his game is sometimes he'll have a ball that he's looking to hit and come in. So you have this almost premeditated, okay, I'm going to hit this, I'm going to come in, but then you hit it like crap and you're like, and then you either get past or you got to back out. So if you're hitting it well, not only can you come in on sort of like approach shot kind of stuff, but you can also do the opportunistic play where you hit a big ball, you see your opponent stretched. And the cool thing about his game is the speed and the volleys allow him that when he hits a good shot and he sees his opponent stretch, he actually has chance to like see his opponent struggling and then put a burst of energy to get to the net and actually make up that time. So he doesn't have to do it too premeditated. But I think the better he hits it, the more he'd be moving forwards, would probably answer your question.
I just feel like right now I'm very limited on what I can do on court. And if I can move my body in a better way, maybe I can create more situations, like Tom said, get to the net more, or be able to hit more angles, stuff like that I'm not very good at right now.
Because I always thought, not having met Tom until a few years ago, oh man, what if I had had a really good coach growing up? If I had met Tom, when I was younger,
you'd be awesome.
I'd be amazing. And then
I don't think it's the right way to think about it, because there's so many things that you don't know. For example, I think I had one coach before that taught me technique that wasn't necessarily right, but then I learned how to just move really fast, So maybe if I had Tom, I would be lazy like him or something.
Well, that's why I developed really good hands. Like I have really good touch because I don't have any power or any speed. So what else am I gonna do? So things do evolve.
Can I speak on college coaches for a little bit?
No. No, I'm gonna mute you.
All right. I'm not going to.
So what's the order of priority in what you're going to work on then?
I think that what I like with working with Tom is that it's like a very we work on technique, but it's also mental and tactical. It's everything together. Like it's not other coaches where they tell me, oh, we're doing a fitness block, then we're doing 10 weeks of technique adjustments, and then we're doing match plates. It's all connected. Like we do a session and work on technique while also keeping it realistic, and also trying how you're going to incorporate that into a point or match play. So we kind of like do it and figure things out, talk about it. We don't really have a rigid, this, we're going to do this and this and this. It's
Can I do an
Yeah.
analogy?
What?
Can I do a quick
Your
analogy?
analogies are terrible, but go on.
It's like when you're sculpting a statue, right? You want to get you don't want to work just on the nose and ignore the rest of the statue, right? You work a little bit on the leg, then on the torso, whatever, then the head, right? You just kind of want to slowly shape it into. That's kind of
All right.
the way I envision it.
I'll allow that analogy to pass.
All right, he passes the test.
Like he just relies on kind of running around and doing the same shot, and I want him to be able to do, like, just make so many more adjustments. You know, it's funny. It's like he's from Israel. He's like a Israeli soldier or something. Like if you think about French dudes, right, they're the opposite, right? Like Monfils and these guys, they just have loads of flair. Right, he needs a bit of like French flair in him.
Yeah, I'll have some of that.
And less like, I don't know, Russian/Israeli machine. I hit forehands like this. This is how I hit a forehand. Like he's got to be able to adapt and move his body. With the serve, it's a little different because that's not really a creativity thing.
Because I've been in some players before that had world ranking, and I think I could, if I give myself a year of just traveling and playing all these futures, I think I could get a few points, maybe one or two, get a ranking. But I feel like it's worth my time to train with Tom and really try to improve a lot, and then have a better base to when I go and completely go play in tournaments. I can actually will be able to figure things out as I go when I have this solid understanding of what I got to do. Because right now there's still so many things I haven't figured out.
What are like recent light bulb moments? You said you made a lot of progress the last couple of weeks. Anything sort of stuck out where you're like, oh, I get this now?
Yeah, I think a huge thing was when we started talking about balance and being balanced on court. Like I literally thought of balance as just being like, everyone told me when I was younger, have low base, stay low, and be like, just stay super centered. So I would line up to the ball and do this to kind of bring everything back to the center. And then Tom explained to me that the balance is more of like a fluid balance where you're moving through, and
it's like this. You don't go balance, you go, you balance it out. You have to kind of do the opposite to like bring things back. It's not just like trying to bring everything back here. It's flowing with it. And
and then that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Like I mean, I think everybody struggles with not even necessarily mastering something in practice, getting better at something in practice, and then there's like a match play, and something's on the line where you actually want to win, and you either tighten up or you go back to the thing that you've been doing that you're most comfortable with. And some people would say just hit it 100,000 times or whatever, and then you won't do that. But is there a strategy that you all have for like practicing these new techniques under high pressure situations?
I always use this one example, which is funny, that I was coaching this woman she's not that great, and she's working on her serve, and she's just smacking it. And I was like, okay, like let's imagine you're serving, like you got to be an actress here. Imagine you're playing against someone and you're in a match, and just think about how you would serve, and then we can kind of develop the serve within that like framework, as opposed, because it's easy to just take a ball out of a basket and hit it, but like serve like you're in a match, and visualize it. So I see her stood there, and I see her like thinking about what serve she's gonna hit. And this one was like, okay, I'm imagining it. She's like, it's 1540. It's 1540. and I've just hit 2 double faults, and my partner's pissed off with me. I could see her, and I could see her just stood there, like literally, like feeling this, and she served completely different, and that's hard to do. But at some point, I think you do have to be a bit of an actor, and just be like, okay, like how did it feel the last time I played? What was my core position? How was I moving? What was my mentality? And just try and practice within that sort of mindset. The analogy I keep using, my golf analogy, is like sometimes I go to the driving range and I try and be the best player I can, hit it further, hit it better, do all the stuff I'm trying to do with whatever, getting more club speed or whatever. But then sometimes I go there and I'm like, all right, remember last time when you just shanked a 7-iron off the fairway? Like just hit every ball like you'd just be happy with if you were having a shit day. Just hit every ball average. Can you just practice average golf?
It's also, I mean, the mental things that change when you go to match play, and there are like a lot of physical things that change that I never noticed before until Tom pointed it out. Like the fact, usually in practice, everyone hits it super hard and the ball stays low, and then in matches, everyone's trying not to miss, so they hit with more spin, high over the net. So and I end up getting a lot of balls up here that I usually don't get in practice. Also, you're serving, walking to get the ball. There's a lot of dead time in between points that you kind of lose your rhythm. When practice, a lot bang, bang, bang. You feel the ball well. You have a lot of rhythm. Different surfaces, different conditions that you don't practice at every day at tournaments. So there's also those, like, also incorporating that randomness in practice will be huge, because otherwise, for example, I always play my best matches at the club in San Francisco where we practice every day, because I just know the courts and the conditions so well. Like I know where every ball is gonna be. And when we travel, like we went to play at Utah where it's indoor altitude, and I lost 6-1, 6-0. Like what happened is I try to, like, every match I play, I start trying to find my rhythm. But what I end up doing is just giving the other guy rhythm also.
Yeah.
And then I just make my opponents play better. Where other guys, they just slice and do spins and hit big shots, winners, like miss. I'm so consistent that I give all my opponents like the same ball all the time, and they're just like playing amazing by the second set.
There's people like that who just, when they play well, their opponents play well.
Yeah.
That's never how. When I step on court, my goal was always just to see how shit I could make my opponent play. Like, to be honest, like that's kind of what I did. So, and I don't want to necessarily, I try not to coach in the way where I try and have him play like me, because
I don't want that either.
so but like you hear John, like you get that feeling like John McEnroe. Yeah, he'd have everyone serving and volleying, right? Like he'd have these some of these coaches, some of these players who've had success doing it a certain way. If he coached Serena, she'd be like serving and volleying next week. So I want to like make sure I play to his strength, but he needs a little bit of that, like making his opponents struggle and play bad. But also he doesn't mind that, because then the match lasts 9 hours and then he tries to outlast them.
Yeah, people hate playing me because I make it physical and stuff, but at the same time, good players love playing me. And I like Tom's way of doing it, because I've talked to like sports psychologists in the past, and it all gets like so disconnected from the sport. Like they start talking to you about feeling the ground and like noticing the moon or something, like like zen all of a sudden. And like the way Tom does it, like I said before, it's everything. The technical side of it is also the mental side, and it's also the tactical side, and it's also your attitude and like information, like how you see your opponent, what's happening, how you're feeling that day. Everything is just connected. So
yeah, so this is kind of one
Oh,
of the routes.